Imagine waking up in a world where the most powerful nation on Earth is being led not by a career politician, but by a man who launched a Tesla into space, sold flamethrowers as novelty items, and is actively building rockets to colonize Mars. What would happen if Elon Musk, yes, the tech mogul, space entrepreneur, and billionaire provocateur, became president of the United States? Yes, we know. Legally, it's not possible right now. Musk was born in South Africa, and the U.S. Constitution says that only natural-born citizens can be president. But let's bend the rules for a moment, not in reality, but in a thought experiment. Because the real question isn't could Musk become president, it's what would happen to the world if he did. Would the United States become a clean energy superpower overnight? Would Mars have its first settlers within a decade? Would democracy itself be reinvented? This video isn't just a fantasy. It's a layered exploration of science, policy, power, and the impact of visionaries on the real systems that run our world. So grab a seat, because the journey we're about to take crosses not just borders, but planets. The hypothetical presidency. How could it even happen? Let's ground ourselves in reality before launching into the stratosphere. Under current U.S. law, no one can be president unless they are a natural-born citizen. That rules out Elon Musk. But laws can change. Constitutional amendments, though rare and difficult, are not impossible. Historically, we've amended the Constitution 27 times, abolishing slavery, giving women the right to vote, and lowering the voting age to 18. Now imagine the 28th Amendment, allowing naturalized citizens to run for president. A campaign emerges, backed by tech leaders, globalists, and futurists, arguing that in a modern, interconnected world, origins shouldn't limit leadership. National debates erupt, think tanks weigh in, and suddenly, Elon Musk is no longer a distant dream, but a frontrunner. That's the setup. But what next? Motivation. Why would Musk even want to be president? Musk has said repeatedly that politics is a messy, slow-moving machine. But ironically, that's exactly why someone like him might eventually decide to intervene. Musk's career has always been about acceleration. Accelerating transportation, energy adoption, space colonization, and even digital interfaces with Neuralink. So the idea of running a nation may seem contrary, but it might actually be a logical next step. If you're frustrated by gridlock, bureaucracy, and reactive thinking, what better solution than to take the wheel yourself? And Musk has always tried to operate at a civilizational scale. Running Tesla and SpaceX isn't just about building cool gadgets. It's about changing the trajectory of humanity. In that context, running the United States, one of the most influential levers on Earth, could be the ultimate multiplier. The Muskian government, vision versus reality. So what kind of government would a President Musk lead? Let's start with what we know about Musk's governance style. He's a systems thinker, more interested in frameworks than slogans. He obsesses over efficiency, hates bureaucracy, and favors engineering-driven cultures. Under Musk, we wouldn't see traditional cabinet picks. We'd see executives from aerospace, AI labs, and sustainability think tanks. You might have a Secretary of Transportation who helped build Hyperloop prototypes, an energy secretary who's deployed more solar panels than most utilities, a chief of staff with a physics degree. Policy meetings would look more like SpaceX scrums, whiteboards, flow charts, and brainstorming about bottlenecks. But let's be honest, that kind of disruption comes with chaos. Musk's leadership has been described as visionary, yes, but also impulsive, abrasive, and scattershot. He demands excellence and punishes incompetence. That might inspire innovation, but it could also alienate civil servants and Congress alike. Which brings us to our next question: energy, climate, and the end of oil. This is where Musk's presidency would have the most immediate and visible impact. Fossil fuels, dead on arrival. Imagine executive orders redirecting federal subsidies from oil to solar, wind, and battery storage. Public transportation initiatives that rival the interstate highway system. A federal Electrify Everything Act that includes national EV charging networks, electrified school buses, and heat pump retrofitting of federal buildings. The Department of Energy under Musk would likely become a launchpad for the electrification of America. And unlike most politicians, Musk wouldn't just push legislation. He'd tweet progress reports, publish spreadsheets, and publicly challenge underperforming departments. But here's the deeper point. It's not just about tech. Musk sees climate change as an existential threat. Under his presidency, climate policy wouldn't be just an environmental issue. It would be a security issue, a moral issue, and a civilizational issue. AI, regulation, and the race against time. Artificial intelligence is another frontier where Musk's concerns border on the apocalyptic. He's called AI humanity's biggest existential risk. He's warned that unchecked AI development could lead to catastrophic outcomes, especially if weaponized or misaligned with human values. As president, Musk would likely push for the creation of a Department of Artificial Intelligence, a regulatory body specifically designed to oversee AI labs, ensure transparency, and enforce ethical standards. Expect executive action mandating AI audits, open-source safety protocols, and international agreements on autonomous weapons bans. But here's the twist. Musk is also a major investor in AI. So how does a President Musk balance caution and competition? One possibility, a dual-track policy. Strict domestic guardrails paired with massive public investment in safe, aligned AI, turning the U.S. into a global leader, not just in power, but in AI ethics. Space, from Cape Canaveral to Mars. Now for the part everyone wants to know. What would happen to space travel? Short answer, we'd go all in. NASA's budget? Doubled, maybe tripled. SpaceX gets massive federal contracts, not just for rockets, but for Mars habitation modules, lunar resource extraction, and asteroid mining initiatives. International partners like the European Space Agency or Japan's JAXA might be invited into a new United Space Alliance, with America at the helm. More than symbolism, it would be policy. Musk wouldn't just push for landing on Mars. He'd use federal power to build civilization there. Terraforming research would become a national science priority. And back home, space tech would spin off into terrestrial benefits, advanced materials, better GPS, satellite-based climate monitoring. The risks, autocracy, chaos, and collision. It would be dishonest to ignore the risks. A President Musk could concentrate massive influence into one figure, a person who already controls the leading electric car company, a dominant space firm, a major social media platform, and has ties to cryptocurrency, tunneling, brain-computer interfaces, and more. That's a lot of unchecked power. And remember, in business, Musk rules top-down, but governments are designed for balance, friction, and decentralization. Would he respect due process? Would he clash with courts, Congress, or civil liberties watchdogs? And what happens if things go wrong? If a Mars mission fails catastrophically? If AI experiments backfire? If global diplomacy breaks down? A Musk presidency would be high reward, high risk. Not a slow burn, but rocket launch, with all the dangers that entails. Democracy reinvented? There's one more idea Musk has flirted with, direct democracy. He's argued that representative democracy is too slow, too biased, too disconnected. In its place, he imagines a system where citizens vote directly on issues, enabled by blockchain tech, mobile apps, and secure identity systems. As president, Musk might launch pilot programs for direct citizen voting on local or national initiatives. Done right, this could re-engage disillusioned voters. Done wrong, it could open the floodgates to misinformation and mob rule. But the very fact that it would be tried is worth noting. Musk's presidency wouldn't just change policies. It would challenge the structure of governance itself. Legacy, a cleaner, bolder America? Let's fast forward. 2 terms have passed. What does America look like under President Elon Musk? It might be cleaner, electrified cities, solar farms on federal lands, and carbon emissions slashed. It might be bolder, public-private moon bases, Mars rovers named after schoolchildren, AI literacy taught in every high school. It might be weirder, open-source legislation, meme-driven diplomacy, and presidential addresses live-streamed from orbit. Or it might be a cautionary tale, a burst of ambition that collided with reality. But one thing is certain, it would be unforgettable. The final frontier of power. In the end, the question isn't really about Elon Musk. It's about the future of leadership. What kind of person should run the world's most powerful nation? A bureaucrat? A diplomat? Or a visionary who thinks in galaxies? What do we value more, stability or speed, caution or conquest, incrementalism or imagination. If Elon Musk became president, the world wouldn't just watch, it would recalculate. Because sometimes science fiction is just tomorrow, waiting for someone bold enough to run for it.